Hello, we're with Brussels Signal. We're in Amsterdam because in Holland on the 22nd of November there will be elections. And to speak about those elections, we found a specialist on the matter, nobody less than Syp Wynia. Syp Wynia is a known journalist in Holland who used to work for some big outlets, and now he started 5 years ago on his own on a Wynia's Week is the name of the project, where he publishes books and also talks about whatever is happening in Holland. And now we're going to do the same about the upcoming elections. So, Mr. Wynia, to start with...
welcome in Amsterdam.
Thank you very much. To begin with, driving to Amsterdam, there were two things that struck me. One, it's very difficult to park, and almost as rare were election signs. Are the elections there yet, or is everybody waiting, or how is there an election fever?
Two very different questions, I must say.
Okay.
About parking in Amsterdam, Amsterdam has a very left-wing history and a very left-wing today, so to speak. So the city is always run by the socialists or the Greens, or the progressive liberals, so to speak, and they're very anti-car, and so this policy is going on, and they don't stop till they wipe the cars out of the city. So that's question one.
Lesson learned.
And what you see about the elections, no, you don't see. I don't think that a foreigner doesn't feel that the coming elections or whatever, which is. It's also, I think, quite unusual that you feel elections in this country if you're not a local, but. These elections are also quite boring, I must say. So even for a local, for a Dutch woman, it's not very. We're speaking now 2 weeks before the elections, exactly 2 weeks, and normally you should expect that there's sort of game feeling. Who's the winner? Who's the loser? And there are losers, there are winners, but it's not like a football game, the one to the other, the left to the right. It's more unclear, a little grey, so to speak.
That should be making it more interesting, more question marks, more game to play.
Well, but this is the game is played inside the middle, so it's. Other elections we had populist uprisings, and now the populist uprising is in the middle. Quite unusual. So there are two new parties, and one of the new parties, which is led by Pieter Omtzigt. He was a Christian Democrat, and now he has his own party, the New Social Contract, and. Well, in fact, he's still he's still a Christian Democrat, but he has his own party. And the main effect is that the Christian Democrats, the old, powerful Christian Democrats, are disappearing. It's very small now, only a few, 4 or 5 seats probably in Parliament, where we have 150 in the second chamber, so the main Parliament department. And so the populist, today's main populist, so to speak, is not left or right, but is in the middle, which is a new phenomenon.
But populists has a negative connotation by politicians saying cheap solutions that are difficult to realize. Is that what Mr. Omtzigt is doing?
No, I'm using the term populist. In the general meaning, not ideological, but as a new party, popular. A new kid on the block.
Yes, and so if you are a popular centrist, how do you seduce people then? You're not going to say, let's kick out all the foreigners, or let's help all the foreigners. It's, let's be reasonable with foreigners, and everybody thinks that's amazing.
No, this time, this Pieter Omtzigt, who probably is going to win the elections, at least he's a runner-up, and his main USP is himself. In fact, he is a sort of the anti-Rutte. We had, for 13 years, we had the Prime Minister Mark Rutte, of the sort of conservative liberals. In practice, he was not probably liberal, but not very conservative. But this Mark Rutte, he is not trusted anymore. And he is also, and politics is not trusted anymore in general, as part of the Rutte business model, so to speak. And this Pieter Omtzigt, he's trusted. He's the other side. So he is seen as a sort. He has been member of parliament for 20 years, but he is felt as a new kid on the block. Who will be trusted for the next few years.
Is there merit in that trust, you think?
Sorry?
Is there merit in that trust?
Sure. He has a record. So as member of parliament, he has disclosed scandals and so on. And what also is in favor of his image is that his party, the Power Party, the former Christian Democrat Power Party, all the time tried to get rid of him, and he always came back with the support of regional supporters. So that's a combination of, let's say, the people don't trust the government anymore, and the people pay the price for that. And he's the new, the people's hero, so to speak. And so it doesn't mean that he has more than the half of the votes, because we have a lot of parties, and he is only at the moment the biggest in the polls. And so of the 150 seats in the parliament, he has probably 30. But he is in the polls the biggest, because the rest, the competitors, have less.
Is there already talk about future coalitions, like blue with red or? And just because there are a lot of parties, and no big, not really big parties, it will be very difficult to form a coalition. It's always difficult to form a coalition, but it's every new elections it's more difficult, so to speak. And so if you want a majority coalition, you need at least 76 seats. And the three biggest competitors now in the polls have together only 76 seats. And the three competitors are the Social Democrats, the Pieter Omtzigt, as I told you, and the party of Mark Rutte, who is now led by a new woman of Turkish origin. Who is she?
She is Dilan Yeşilgöz. Nobody knows in this country how to really speak it well. Most people, also journalists, call her Dylan, or Dilan, her first name, and not her family name, Yeşilgöz. She is quite new. She was just a council member in Amsterdam till 7 years ago or something, and she was then she came in the national parliament, and she was surprising justice minister. Started as justice minister only less than 2 years ago, and after. Surprisingly, Mark Rutte said that he would leave Dutch politics. He tries to go into the NATO as a Secretary General. That's what he wants.
Is that what he really wants, you think?
He was clear. All the time, Mark Rutte has said that he wants to be a teacher or something. But that's, also for that sort of reasons, people don't trust him anymore, because all the time if he says no, that in fact it will be yes. And so now he has always said that he doesn't want to go to Brussels, not to the European Commission, not to the European Council, and not to NATO. But he's all on his way. At least he tries to Brussels. In the beginning of July, surprisingly, two political events happened. The coalition, Mark Rutte, who always did everything to keep the coalition, his coalitions together. This time made an end on this coalition, on asylum, at the theme of asylum, and especially on family reunion. So asylum seekers that want to take their families out of Syria and Afghanistan and so on. So that was surprising because he always did everything to get the power and to stay in power. And this time he made an end of it. And anyhow, in only a few weeks it was clear that Dylan Jeziges would be the new leader, not of the VVD, dus of the main party till now. Probably not per se, on that because she was an outspoken leader, but she was the only one. And
so it's a weak party then that he left behind?
Yeah, at least it could appear to be. He led this party for about 16, 17 years, and after all these years, it was the Rutte party. So take Rutte out of the Rutte party, then it's quite clear that it's a weak party. So everybody in the party was an assistant of Mark Rutte, so to speak, and the only one with an extra was, you can say, is Dylan Jeziges, but it's a handicap, of course, for her to lead a party that is the legacy, so to speak, of Mark Rutte.
But she did open up to Geert Wilders from the PVV party.
Yeah.
So is that a tactical move to show her force, or is that's yesterday's news? Because 2 months ago she opened up to the PVV of Geert Wilders, but now 10 days ago, something or a week ago, she turned around again, which is not very strong, of course. But she probably did this. This new stance on the PVV, because if you in the position where she is in says that that it's for you okay to cooperate with Geert Wilders, it means that he goes up in the polls, because his chances for governing are getting up, and that's interesting for the people, for the electorate, and so. Now they turn back because they don't want the extra seats for Geert Wilders, of course. But it's not very stable and policy, of course. So it's not a plus for her. But it's not heartfelt hate towards Wilders like I think Rutte did feel a little bit, like there was an animosity.
Rutte's feelings are never very clear. Rutte's feeling is get to the power and stay in power, and so he is an opportunist pure sang, so to speak.
Okay, so he might fit in Brussels maybe. So
sure.
So we have Rutte, we have Omtzigt, then we have the Green Pope, Frans Timmermans.
Yeah.
He came
Green Socialist Pope.
Green Socialist Pope. He came with a lot of fanfare from Brussels to Amsterdam. Yeah. Did people accept him with open arms? The polls indicate they did at first, and then it went down.
Yeah, but it's the polls on the left wing part of the polls, and in the image of the Dutch media, you have a left part of the electorate and a right and probably a center part of the electorate, but the real thing is that only 1/3 of the electorate is left wing. So in the media, that usually are more left wing than the people are, you could get the impression that there is a big chance for Frans Timmermans to be the next prime minister. He has this formally this perspective if he reunites the left wing electorate. So the smaller left wing parties all emptying themselves to the new combination of socialists and Greens, where Frans Timmermans is a leader of. But the enthusiasm was probably there for a few weeks, but you can see in the polls now that it's flattening. So of the three main parties in the race now, Frans Timmermans and his socialist Greens, or United Left as they call it, Verenigd Links, he lost the perspective to the leadership, so to speak. And so the only chance for Frans Timmermans to get a new prime minister has to be, one, win the elections and be the biggest party. Second, even worse, even more difficult to speak, is organize a coalition. If a left-wing leader wants a coalition in a country where the majority of the voters and the majority of the people, the majority of the parties, of the members in parliament are more central or right-wing, then it's for this sort of isolated socialist very difficult to organize a coalition. So the chance that Frans Timmermans will be the next prime minister is not very great, not very big. Because he probably won't be the biggest in the race, and if he would be the biggest, it's almost impossible to form a coalition for a left-wing politician.
Is the United Left a strong party, or is it a convenience alliance?
It's a combination of the Dutch Greens, GroenLinks,
who are also a bit of a mixed bag, right? In their history, they have
till 35 years ago, you had a group of very small former communists, left-wing Christians, and so on. They formed together the group of GroenLinks, Green Left, and they hoped that in those days, in 1990, that it would be a big party, the new perspective but it never succeeded. That's one. And we have, of course, the Dutch Social Democrats, Labour, the Partij van de Arbeid, PvdA. And they were always one of the three power parties, and even together with the Christian Democrats, the main parties in power after the Second World War. But now, the PvdA, the Dutch Social Democrats, are small. They have only 9 seats, and since 2017 they have only 9 seats in parliament, 150 seats in parliament. So it's a small party, about 6% of the electorate or something, which is all, in average, almost the same volume as the Greens. So the only possibility for these parties to get in power is to work together, and at the moment they tried to merge it to one party, but a real new name is not yet. They haven't found a real new name. So Timmermans talks about Verenigd Links, United Left, but on the polling paper, the name is GroenLinks PvdA, Green Left Labour, so to speak, which is not very cohesive. And what you see at the moment is that after the beginning of in the end of the campaign, that the real problems. That this new party is not very stable. So Frans Timmermans says things in the campaign where the Greens are not very happy with.
Like what?
Especially with, I don't know, what's the word in English? Stikstof? Nitrogen?
Nitrogen, yeah.
Nitrogen. That's a big...
So he's soft on nitrogen?
Surprisingly, he was. He made a statement that was, let's say, the same vision about nitrogen that Pieter Omtzigt, for instance, has. So not the very stance.
Not his European stance that he always defended as as Commissioner of Climate.
Yeah, but of course climate and nitrogen are not the same thing.
Nature restoration?
No, most of the time it are the same people who are very fanatical on these themes, but pure technical is the too much nitrogen in the countryside and so on is another theme, is a different thing than climate and so on. But anyhow, he surprisingly he came up with a sort of right-wing position in this question, and of course, not surprisingly, the Greens in this sort of formed new party were very disappointed by this turnaround of Mr. Timmermans. And probably it's not the last time that they have a problem inside. And if you have a problem inside, it's not good for your election results, and also not very good for your position if you want to go to form a coalition.
Another big change was the D66 party.
Yeah.
It used to be the big winner. We saw the president dancing on the tables and the chairs last election, and now that party is
during the exit polls, by the way. She danced too early, because after the same evening, the exit polls went down for her. But anyhow, she had danced already. Yeah.
But now it's much worse. She seems to be at the end of the line, politically speaking, or what happened?
So Sigrid Kaag, she was the leader. She left the dancing table already, by the way. And there's a new leader with D66. And what's very interesting is that the last cabinet, the last government that's still sort of governing the country now, was very much dominated by the second party, D66. So all the policies were dictated by D66, which was tolerated by Prime Minister Mark Rutte, who had a bigger party, but somehow he needed the support of D66, so D66 could dictate policies on, let's say, woke, on nitrogen, on climate change, and that sort of thing. But the people in the country they don't like this success of D66. So they won the coalition. They sort of won the last elections. They really won the coalition deal, but the people they left them in the wild. So at the moment they have only, let's say, 6 or 7 or 8, something like that, seats in the polls, and they had 24 seats, which is probably a third or something. So they will probably not be in the next election. One, because they don't have enough seats to be in the coalition and in power and in the cabinet. But also because the policies that D66 dictated don't have the support in the country. People want, let's say, a more normal policy, not the radical policies.
Does this mean that the left-wing parties will change course? Or does it mean that they look down on the populists and just wait the next round of elections that they can win again if right does something wrong?
Well, and I don't think that the left-wing parties are already ready for the future. They're now preparing they still hope that there will be a good result on the 22nd of November. And they're preparing for the years after, probably. But the heydays of the left-wing policies are over, I think, for the moment. So dictated, as I said, by D66, and D66, the friends of D66 were the opposition parties, the Greens, the Socialists. And because Mark Rutte, the conservative sort of liberal Prime Minister, he tolerated the left-wing policies in his right-wing coalition. But if you ask the Dutch people if they are left or right, then probably it's only 1/3 that's left. Nevertheless, the policies during the Rutte parties, especially the last, let's say, 10 years, because he was prime minister for 13 years now, were all the time more left-wing than the country was, or even radical, I could say. So the policies on climate and nitrogen and immigration were always much more left-wing than the country is. So as I used to say, that the government is more radical than the people. And then we come back to Mr. Pieter Omtzigt, and there's another regional party, the Boer-Burgerbeweging, and they won the elections in March, the regional elections, and that's a move in the direction of more centrist policies left of the radical or even activist policies of the last 7 or 10 years during Mark Rutte.
But the farmer citizens movement seems to lose a lot of voters towards Omtzigt. Does this mean that it was a one-off, or is it a stable party? What can you expect from them?
It's probably not the big party that it was in spring, but I think that it could be one of the many middle or even small parties in parliament. But the policies of Pieter Omtzigt and this farmer movement don't differ very much. In fact, you could say that they're together the legacy of the Catholic part of the Christian Democrat Party. So the Protestants inside the Christian Democrat Party, they dominated the party, the Christian Democrats, and made the Christian Democrats probably more left-wing and more urban than their backbones, than their support. And now the traditional support of the Christian Democrats, more, let's say, conservative or more centrist, more countryside, more region, they stepped out of the Christian Democrats and started not one, but two new parties. And in spring, there was no Pieter Omtzigt party. Now there's this Pieter Omtzigt party, and now people go from the Farmers Party to the Pieter Omtzigt party. But it's sort of the same group. Probably is Pieter Omtzigt, his party, a little more employers and left labor and less labor, I mean. So you could say that probably in this centrist group, the winning part of Pieter Omtzigt is a little more left-wing than the farmers' movement.
But both parties, and even the CDA party, have a confessional past, but religion or confession is not part of the public discourse. It's more a cultural inheritance then.
Right, yeah.
So nobody talks about religion except maybe for multiculturalism, migration.
Even though nobody talks about religion, it's still there.
In what way?
It's a legacy of generations and centuries, and also parts of the country. So the south of the Netherlands are state Catholic mainly through the centuries. And the northern part is more Calvinist, more Protestant, and this cultural legacy lives on.
Do you see that in other parties as well, or is it only in the Christian side?
No, it's felt throughout the country. It's felt through the country, even by people who are not. I'm not sure about that, but let's say that the general cultural feelings and traditions and folklore and so are different.
Zwarte Piet?
Zwarte Piet was all in the country. So Black Piet, that was not especially in the south or in the north. That was a national heritage that disappeared also through the Rutte cabinets, because the Rutte cabinets they supported the woke movement. But there are regional traditions like Carnival, and that's only in the Catholic areas in the south mainly. And you could say that Pieter Omtzigt and the farmers' movement, they both are leaning on the traditions of the South and or the Catholics. And in the tradition, they were mainly in the Christian Democrats, at least till the 70s. Because in those days, there was not a Christian Democrat party. You had the Catholic Party, who was in those days the biggest party in the country. You had the Catholic Party, and you had 2 or 3 Protestant parties. And this is the comeback of the old Catholic Party.
So, if the South is rising again, to use a very politically incorrect term.
No, but that's what it is. Yeah.
But does it mean that there will be consequences on, for example, economic level? Like I can imagine that Amsterdam or Rotterdam or the port cities are important, and those are more Protestant, let's say. And now, if the South is
well, sorry.
But let's say the political central is shifting towards the South. Will this mean that, for example, there will be more attention?
But that's more in general political terms and not in regional terms. It won't mean that there will go more new government money to the South. It's more that the policy will probably more conservative, or at least more centrist, and at least not the university cities in the west of the country that have a very left-wing tradition.
So it's a bit in the style of what we see in the rest of the world, the big cities versus the people who are less.
Yeah, and what we saw the past 10 years is that the national policies were dominated by the cities, by the universities so the woke movement, all those developments organized a gap between the national politics and the people. And what we now see is that we have a turn back to normality, so to speak.
The democratic wave, actually.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But what we're also seeing in the rest of the world is that the populist right is winning everywhere, especially in Europe, Sweden, Italy, all those countries. You have a very strong right-wing base that's growing. And in Holland, there were 2 strong right-wing parties, Geert Wilders and Thierry Baudet, PVV, FVD, and both seem to be, one is mid-size and the other one is disappeared almost.
Geert Wilders is still a potential force in politics, because he is, after the 3 parties we mentioned as the frontrunners, he is right behind, and it's even possible that he will be even as big as the socialist Greens. If you look at the polls, and then Geert Wilders is a little rising, and Frans Timmermans, as we talked about it, the Green Pope from Brussels, and he is stagnating. So he is a force, and in a country where you need in Parliament every vote. To form a coalition, he could be a serious factor, and he is now in business as a sole politician for almost 20 years, and the newer kid on the block was Thierry Baudet with his FVD, Forum for Democracy, and he was a big hit 5 years ago. In the provincial, it was even the biggest party, but Baudet is a sort of he destroys his own successes, so to speak. So if he wins the hearts and minds of the voters, then he invents a new radical idea, like supporting Putin and that sort of thing. So he is now. Baudet will get 4 or 5 seats probably in Parliament, but but he's a fringe figure, so to speak.
But since the cabinet fell over migration, is migration or asylum, but the whole thing? Is it a subject? Is it hotly contested? Is it debated about?
Well, in the debates, it's not brought up as a center theme, but it's completely clear that that the people, in general, see it as the biggest problem whatsoever, and that it was already a big problem because we don't have houses in this country. There's 400,000 people who have no house, and still the immigration is going on. Not only asylum, but also asylum. And of course, we have the developments in the Middle East that also bring in new feelings.
Is that a major issue in Dutch politics?
Not directly, but indirectly. So the people fear new asylum influxes, and the society, especially in the bigger cities like in Amsterdam and in Rotterdam and The Hague, there are the Moroccan youth are going into the streets with very anti-Israel, very anti-Jew stances. So that's for the feelings in the society is very important, but it's not very politicized till now. But it could change in the next few weeks up to the elections.
Okay, so maybe a final question. What's your prediction then? What can you expect after November 23? What will the situation be, you think?
What I think now is that there will be four, as I indicated, probably four bigger parties. So the conservative liberals of Mark Rutte and now Van Dillen, Pieter Omtzigt, the new Catholic politician, centrist politician, then the Green Left, and Geert Wilders. So the four. And the chances of Geert Wilders are not bad, just because there is a new stream of influences and developments, immigration, Islam, that will be probably not good for the world and not good for the country, but good for Geert Wilders. And what I think is that the Green Left Frans Timmermans will stagnate, as I said. What I think, with what I can see now, is that the winner could be Pieter Omtzigt, and then we don't know, by the way, if he wants to be Prime Minister. At least at the moment, he has not indicated that he wants to be the Prime Minister himself. I expect, by the way, that he will. I think that's also the normal way, that if you win the elections, that you should take the responsibility. But with what happens on the 22 of November, it will be very difficult to form a combination, a new coalition, a new cabinet, but which is quite sure, what also indicated already, is that there will be a swing back to normal by the sort, away from the radical policies that we had in the past 10 years.